Hey guys, kind of a late video today. Today we are continuing our study of the book of Colossians. We're doing all these books that Paul wrote while he was under house arrest, and we're kind of seeing how Paul responded and what his mind was focused on, and how he talked to these churches while he was under house arrest, because we kind of feel like we're in house arrest. Today we're going to look at just a couple of verses, actually a short one in Colossians, verses 21 through 23. So let's go ahead and read that together. And you who once were alienated and hostile in mind, doing evil deeds, he is now reconciled in his body of flesh by his death, in order to present you holy and blameless and above reproach before him. If indeed you continue in faith, stable and steadfast, not shifting from the hope of the gospel that you heard, which has been proclaimed in all creation under heaven, and of which I, Paul, became a minister. Okay, so in this little section, have you ever been to like a mall or a theme park or something, and you see those big signs, and they've got the map, and maybe you're lost or something, and you go look at the map, and you got the little dot, and it says you are here. Otherwise, sometimes you get into these places like the Mall of America or Disney World, and it's so vast and there's so much going on, you kind of feel lost. I think after what Paul was just talking about, kind of talking about who Jesus was in relation to God, he's throwing a lot out there. And so I think what he wants to do here is at the end of this little section, after the kind of poem that he has said just a minute ago, is he wants to point out and say, we are here. He wants us to kind of understand, and he wants his readers to understand, where they are in all of this. And he says, and you who once were alienated and hostile in mind, doing evil deeds, he is now reconciled in his body of flesh. So the first thing he wants to do is make sure that we understand that God is doing something big. He's taking the world that turned its back on him, humanity in general, and he's bringing it back. He's reconciling it. The reconcile is when two hostile parties come back together. And think about this coming from Paul, who actually was hostile to Christianity originally, was actively persecuting the church. And so he's talking about reconciliation and how we're all coming back to this one body. But he wants to be specific too. And he says, if indeed you continue to live in faith. He's saying this isn't something you just do once and then move on from. It's a lifestyle. It's something that you choose to live by. A lot of times we treat Christianity and when we're trying to, influence other people to follow Christ, we get focused on baptism. We say, baptize, baptize, baptize them. And then people get baptized and they move on with their lives. And they don't actually become disciples or followers of Christ. And what Paul is saying here is it's more than that. It's a lifestyle. It's giving your life to follow Christ. If you were to just put everything in this one experience of baptism at the moment you became a Christian, as time goes on, you almost start to wonder, did it really even happen like that? Did I really feel that way? And what he's saying is you have to continuously, stable and steadfast, not shifting from the hope of the gospel. We have to keep in mind the gospel, the good news that we have, which is Christ rose from the dead. And that should continuously keep us going. And then he goes in and he talks about, Jesus and how, which has been proclaimed to all creation under heaven, and which I, Paul, have become a minister. And he's saying that, two things are happening at once. God is putting into motion his cosmic plan to save his creation. Everybody, the whole world. He's going to fix it, to make it right. And he is including us. Not in spite of saving the world, but a part of saving it. Those of us that cling to him, that show our faith in our life and are baptized and start to follow him, we become kind of these first fruits of this great awakening that's happening, this great saving of the world, fixing of all the problems. That's what he wants us to be a part of. And that's what keeps us new and keeps us fresh and keeps us living the lifestyle that we do. So, miss you guys. Love you. Sorry it's late tonight, but we'll see you tomorrow.